Hey guys, just me tonight, Jimmy Kavanaugh coming to you from Assembly Hall, fresh off of a 93-54 win over St. Mary's, Mount St. Mary's to be exact, not to be confused with St. Mary's, the Gales. Anyway, IU looked decent. They looked well enough to give you the idea that they are ready to play basketball after losing a pretty bad game to Butler. Coach Crean was pretty terse with the media afterwards, as were Will Sheehy, Christian Watford, and Remy Abel. They didn't seem all that talkative. Can't really blame them after watching that game. Watching this game was something different. That is something that Crean pointed out, that he was proud of his guys, proud of the way they played, and it shows tonight. I mean, let's go through some of the stats. Now, St. Mary's one of the worst defensive teams in college basketball, but IU still manages to shoot 70.6% from the floor, fourth best mark in school history. The school record, 71.2, was in play until very late in the game. You can't really ask much more as far as shooting performance than IU gave tonight. 9 of 12 from beyond the arc. They got to the foul line 19 times. They didn't hit as many as you'd like, only 12. That's something to work on going forward, as were their 19 turnovers. The only two question marks are the ones that I just mentioned, the turnovers and the lack of accurate free throw shooting throughout the game. But really, that's nitpicking a little bit. The first half wasn't outstanding. They shot 5 of 13, Mount St. Mary's did, from beyond the arc in the first half. Got some really good looks beyond the arc that kept them in the game. At the half, the score was 46-29. It was the most boring 46-29 half I've ever seen. It was a really weird feeling. Jeff Howard was in the game at the 12-minute mark. Players weren't really doing all that much really impressive play on the court. It was just something that you didn't really have a good feel for how the game was going. The score in the second half was similar, 47-25, but the feel was completely different. And, I mean, really, IU blew the doors off at the beginning of the second half. They went on a 28-3 run, I believe, between the end of the first half and the beginning of the second, which is a really good performance. You like to see that type of play. They absolutely destroyed Mount St. Mary's on the boards. The final tally there, 41-18. That was a pretty good number, too. And for the most part, it didn't seem like it was something that really fazed IU. Christian Watford, we'll go through the list. He had himself a really good game. You wanted to see that. 15-8. You needed to see that from Christian Watford, even against a lackluster opponent like Mount St. Mary's undoubtedly was. Cody Zeller, another strong game, had some good dunks. Yogi Ferrell was very impressive with the ball. 9 assists for the freshman point guard. A strong performance, one of his best of the season. And then Will Sheehy, good game. Remy Abel, good game, perfect from the floor again. That's really all you can say when it comes to these individual performances. A lot of good stuff there. If we're nitpicking a little bit, like I said, the free throws, that was something that they need to work on. If you want to look at something else, the points they gave up from beyond the arc is something that they needed to improve a little bit. Mount St. Mary's got a lot of good looks, and they missed some good looks when IU went under screens, forcing them or trying to force them to go to the basket. They weren't able to do that when they went under those screens. And when they got the chance to shoot 24 threes, they made 38% of those. A better three-point shooting team will take advantage of that. Butler took advantage of it this past weekend. Something that IU wants to continue to work on. Will Sheehy and the guys said as much after the game. But for the most part, a lot of positives. And if we're talking about things they can take from this game going forward, it's all about development. They got Christian Watford, not Christian Watford, Derek Elston. They got Derek Elston back, and he played pretty well on the flow of the game. He admitted that his conditioning is not where it needs to be, but he's still looked decent. He blocked a shot, he got some good elevation, and he made a basket near the end of the game. 1 for 1 from the floor, like he said, now 100% from the field. And then we saw the first action for Hunter Mosquera-Pere in Assembly Hall. He wasn't quite the athletic dynamo that a lot of people were expecting. There were a lot of breaths held whenever he got the chance near the basket to dunk. We didn't see that from him tonight. He missed a couple layups around the rim, missed a pair of free throws. Not the offensive performance you'd like to see from him. But again, he's learning. He did some really good things against Butler in the short period of time, very short, like 3 minutes, that he was in there. But he did the same thing here today. Made a freshman mistake, fouling a shooter on the perimeter, but he's still very long, he's very athletic, and he's very active with his hands and his feet. I think we'll continue to see him develop as the season goes along. One more thing before I sign off here that was interesting from tonight's game. Jeremy Hollowell did not play. Peter Jurkin did not play. Jeff Howard got in the game early in the first half. That was something that was really confounding to a lot of people, and that we looked for an answer after the game and did not get a clear one. Tom Crean mentioned sickness going around. He tried to imply that both these guys had things that they were dealing with, but when asked directly about Peter Jurkin in particular, he begged off an answer saying that he went with the guys that he went with, which, while factually accurate, tells us absolutely nothing about Jeremy Hollowell and Peter Jurkin. So, Hoosier Nation, that's something to keep an eye on going forward. We will diligently keep an eye on that going forward here at IU Sportcom, as well as the rest of the IU Media Mafia. But for tonight, that's another story for another time. IU with a great win over Mount St. Mary's, 93-54. Quick turnaround. They play Florida Atlantic on Friday, allegedly, because as we all know, Mayan calendar, the 21st, it's supposed to be the end of the world, and I've done some research. It's 6 in the morning, so it could be that this was the last IU basketball game that anyone will ever see. If that was the case, it was a pretty decent one, ends in a win. IU goes to 10-1. They'll try to stretch that to 11-1 on Friday evening. Until next time, until then, I'm Jimmy Cavanaugh for IU Sportcom saying good night, travel well. Thanks for taking the time to watch, folks. Catch you again soon.